Hello, this is Terry with McHenry Creek Fishers. Let's talk about fire prevention. If we take some basic steps, preventive steps, hey, we can prevent fires. So let's get going. The primary goal of fire safety is obviously the people inside the building. We don't want anybody hurt or worse. Secondarily, we don't want any property damage. If our place burns down, our workplace, hey, we're not working. So we got to protect our workplace, protect our people, and there's a few steps we can take that'll make this happen. Something as basic as by preventing fires and damage, we can feel safe that our production will obviously continue, and that is the goal. We're at work to make money to take care of our family. So let's make sure we take care of the place. Now we got to have 4 items to have a fire, and everybody knows this. There's oxygen, and if we're around, that means we're breathing. There's plenty of oxygen. A fuel source. It could be paper, cardboard, basic combustibles. It could be vapors from a flammable liquid. And then we're just a heat source away from a fire, which is caused from a chemical reaction. So the fire triangle, oxygen, fuel, and then a heat source can set it off. Begins with housekeeping. Regular inspections help with this. We can reduce the amount of flammable combustible materials stacking up on the floor and here and there. Always remembering even combustible dust can come into play. Got to clean out up around the rafters sometimes. Reduce ignition sources. Ensure safe evacuation if we do have a fire. This obviously is going to fall under some emergency action plans also for evacuation. But these do overlap because this is one of the reasons we would have a evacuation if we have a fire. Now, general housekeeping, some guidelines. Work areas, the aisles, the walkways, the stairways, any equipment areas, got to be kept clear of loose materials, trash, scraps, etc. Don't be blocking the aisles with pallets because you are busy and got to leave some stuff somewhere. Don't be blocking any of the aisles, especially fire exits. How about emergency equipment? We got to have some clearance, it says, to be able to get to our fire extinguishers. So access to the fire extinguishers. It doesn't give us any number like 36 inches like electrical boxes, but just access. We got to be able to get to the fire extinguisher. So some general housekeeping guidelines continued. How about this one? Avoid the buildup of combustible trash and waste. There's trash cans. There's small. There's large. There's dumpsters. There's mini dumpsters you put in the big dumpster. Keep in use of storage of our flammable combustible materials. We've got a lot of times in the area there's painting takes place, so there's solvents, flammable paint. The hazway storage area may have some flammables, so we got to be careful about how we store, how we use, and then clean up spills, grease, oil, water immediately. Don't ever walk by something thinking, hey, somebody should get that. If you see it, you own it, right? So make sure that none of these things are built up. If you see a spill of any type, let's make sure it gets taken care of, even if it's not your job. This helps avoid accidents. Let's mention a few storage guidelines. No, I said no storage is allowed in corridors or stairways and stairwells. A cluttered hallway can slow down emergency evacuation. How about this? Storage needs 18-inch clearance below sprinkler heads or even smoke detectors if you've got some big racks you're stacking boxes and things on. Always be mindful. How about this one? 3 feet clearance from electrical. I mentioned that. We got to be able to get to our electrical panel, so 3 foot, 36 inch. Remember, fire extinguishers just got to be accessible. 3 foot clearance from heating sources and surfaces such as lighting fixtures, heaters. How about the storage of combustible materials in mechanical rooms? Yeah, that could be dangerous. There could be sparks, static, anything can happen like that. Storage is super important. Here's another one, the storage of flammable combustible liquids. Where do we keep them? There's a reason that you have drums and buckets and different things in areas of the workplace due to the safe storage. If the vapors escape, they're easily ignited. These flammable liquids, combustible liquids, are very common in most workplaces. We got to understand what materials in our area are flammable or combustible so that we can properly store and protect. So be sure and ask your supervisor or safety person what flammable combustible liquids are in your particular work area. Now here's a list of items from the fire prevention plan. How about this? A list of probable fire hazards. Proper handling and storage procedures for hazardous materials, such as your solvents, flammable paints, and things of that nature. Welding, cutting torch, electrical wiring, these are all fire hazards, potential fire hazards, if we don't have proper handling and storage for hazardous materials. Smoking area, yeah, potential ignition source. How about controlling that? Welding, there's a lot of rules in place for that because of possible fires. And then we have the type of fire protection equipment that's necessary. You'll look around your workplace and you'll see fire extinguishers scattered throughout. You may even have a team that'll handle the fire extinguisher in case there's a small fire while everyone else is evacuating if we have a fire. Procedures to control accumulations of flammable combustible waste, trash cans, small dumpsters that we empty into large dumpsters, and housekeeping inspections always come into play. Some more things involved in our fire prevention plan. Heat producing equipment. How about overhead gas heaters? Again, the welding areas. These have to be accounted for. Responsible people or positions listed in the plans. Did you know that if we have an evacuations, we're supposed to have named marshals with no more than 20 people, workers under them, so they can keep up with the evacuation? So we get outside to our special area, we'll be able to get a head count to make sure. So we have a marshal system in place to take care of that. So we make sure that everyone's out of the building in case of a fire. Here's another one. Employees must be trained, which means understand fire prevention when they are first assigned, when they're first hired and put in play in the workplace. So training upon initial takes place and then continuing as needed. Let's take a look at another one. Training. How about this? Proper handling of storage and flammables. Yeah, we got flammable liquid storage cabinets. There's dumpsters in certain areas. So our proper storage and disposable wood, paper, plastic. When we say basic combustibles, that's what we're talking about. Sometimes we mention flammable and combustible materials. This is like gasoline and diesel, or gasoline and hydraulic fluid, flammable and combustible. Now, combustible materials, wood, paper, plastic. Training also, what about closed containers? Are you aware that all containers of these flammable liquids and hazardous material in general must be closed at all times unless adding to or taking away? Closed containers. Tobacco use, storage area, smoking areas. And then proper repair or disposal of damaged electrical cords. Trust me, you are not listed as someone to repair an electrical cord. You might mention that to your supervisor. You may have a maintenance person that's an electrician that might be able to repair. Usually we replace those. And overloading the circuits. Typically we have that figured out already in the workplace, but it is a possibility if we add something, add new machines, we could have an overload of a circuit. Now here's something, the daisy chain, piggybacking, yeah, they call it. These are not extension cords. These multi-strips are low wattage, in the office, a computer, a printer, these sort of things. Don't use these, be plugging a bunch of them together to make extension cords. Now here's one, this is a 20-year-old picture. I'm not even sure these guys didn't do this on purpose, just for the effect, but it does get the point across. Pay attention to electrical hazards. Let's finish up with some basic housekeeping procedures. How about this? Keep items that burn, like fuel, away from things that start fires, like a flame, a forklift backfire, static electricity, electrical short, a welding situation, cutting torch. There's all kinds of things that can start fires, so we got to be careful where we use them. And here's some of the equipment. You got sprinklers, portable fire extinguishers scattered throughout, smoke alarms, detectors, alarms, all these things come into play. Again, on the fire extinguisher, you very well may have a team that's going to use a fire extinguisher. You have a small fire. If the alarm goes off, evacuate the building unless you're on the team. And then if it's a small fire, a machine, a trash can, they will attempt to put that out. If you're not on the team, evacuate the building. Go to the assembly area immediately. If you don't know where the assembly area is at, see your supervisor. So regular inspections, who's going to do them? How often? When? How are they going to fill out the form, or is there a form to fill out? How do we know the inspections are taking place? Date them. Come up with a checklist. Basic housekeeping. Fire extinguishers will be mentioned on there, and they'll have a place on there where you can put your initials on it as they're inspected monthly. Just inspections help us make sure that things are in place, that things don't get away from us, so we don't have a fire. Remember, fire prevention. We got to prevent fires in our workplace, protect people, protect our building, make sure that operations continue. So be careful. Ask your supervisor a couple of things. Now remember, are there any flammable combustible materials in your area that you need to know about and how we're going to protect from them? And what's the fire alarm? And where's the assembly area? So this is Terry with McHenry Creek Fishers. There's my website, my email, and my phone number. Call me anytime, contact me anytime. I can help out a lot of things in the workplace. So whatever you need, give me a call. It's got to do with safety, the environment, DOT. Give me a shout. So until next time, I will see you. This is Terry. Thanks for watching. Have a great, fun day.